which actually is going to be featured on Weekend Edition, either on NPR, either this next weekend or the weekend after.
Cool.
Is to read you the paragraph on the back, because it pertains to the scene I'm going to read. If you'll help me out in this, when I go like this, just shout out, "I blame Vandermeer," okay? So, tasked with solving an impossible double murder, Detective John Finch searches for the truth among the war-weary ruins of the once mighty city of Ambergris. Under the 6-year rule of its inhuman gray-cap masters, Ambergris is slowly crumbling into anarchy.
I blame Vandermeer.
Oh, that's not very... try that again.
I blame Vandermeer.
That's indeed my fault. The remnants, I take full responsibility as the author. The remnants of a rebel force are dispersed, their leader, the mysterious lady in blue, missing. Citizens are being interned in camps.
I blame Vandermeer.
I should bring some other people over here, too. Collaborators roam the streets keeping brutal order, but Finch also has to contend with new forces rising, like the enigmatic spy master Ethan Bliss, and the contamination of his partner White, who is literally disintegrating under the strain.
I blame Vandermeer.
It's better than what another author did. He made the audience do Tubi and throat music for 3 minutes, so you got off light. So in this scene, John Finch and his partner White are going to try to track down Ethan Bliss, who is this old spy master who may have something to do with this double murder that Finch and Bliss are investigating. White is indeed disintegrating in that he has contracted a kind of fungal disease that is slowly changing him into something else. And so the scene I'm going to read is them tracking down Bliss to give you a flavor of the novel, and then in the middle of it there's a kind of a break where it gives White's backstory. Tracking down Bliss took 3 tries. White had an address for a townhouse Bliss sometimes used for meetings in an old Hoboken stronghold southeast of Albertooth Boulevard. Finch could still see the slashes of faded paint on the pavement left by militia groups. Who knew how old the marks were? A code that told a secret history of the city. Gray Cat passed by here Tuesday. Food and ammo in the second house on the left. Stay clear of this intersection after dark. They found the house on a street that had once been part of a wealthy district. Trees lined the sidewalk, but not a leaf on them. Gravel where the grass had been, silence all round. The houses to either side were derelict husks. A burned corpse with no arms right on the steps. We should have told them Bliss wasn't there. Flies had settled on the torn-up face like a congregation. A slender whiteness had begun to push up through the black. Stalks of fruiting bodies rising. In another 20 hours, nothing would be left. Nothing inside, Finch said, coming back out. Let's visit Stanton, White said. Stanton, one of White's druggy snitches, lived a few blocks down. Behind Stanton, Finch saw a tarp draped over a soot-gray alley mouth, a bundle of his possessions to one side, a crumbling brick he used to protect himself at night. Before the rising, before the occupation, Stanton had been a banker, or at least that's what he told White. Probably an addict then, too. White always kept a few extra purple mushrooms in his overcoat pockets. Stanton, in a kind of makeshift robe, clung to White like he was the drug. White, a plank of wood in the river Moth, and Stanton trying to stop from drowning. Except all he ever did was drown. Where'd Bliss go? White asked Stanton. The 30-year-old Stanton lifted his gaunt, balding head, red-eyed, wrinkled face. Down by the abandoned train station, 4 streets over, corner of Sporn and Trillion. He was just there yesterday. White put 3 purple mushrooms in Stanton's hand. Stanton received them like they were worth more than 1 day's relief. The huge red mushrooms that dispensed the drug stuck to a strict schedule, Monday and Friday. Stanton had already gone through what he gathered the day before. Finch didn't think he'd last another month. When they left Stanton, he was trembling under his pathetic shelter, eyes wide open and dilated, gone someplace better, someplace temporary. The train station was empty, but way in the back, under the shadowed arches populated by pigeons and bats, they found a gambling den. Almost a grotto for all the fungus surrounding it. Fuzzy clumps of muted gold and green hid the entrance. Cockfighting, card games, betting black market goods. Not much of a conversation. White stuck his gun up against the lookout's cheek, convinced her it would be better just to lead them in. The hardened men and women they surprised, lantern-lit and reaching for knives or guns, thought better of it too. But they had a hard time restraining the roosters, one fire red, the other a muted orange, razor talons moving like pistons. A heavily muscled man in his 20s who had done some piecework for Bliss gave him up quick, called Bliss a slang word for foreign, even though the muscled man looked foreign himself, seemed to dare any of the others to argue with him. They didn't. White and Finch receded into the gloom, shoved the lookout inside, barricaded the door from the outside with a couple of heavy rusted barrels, hoped there wasn't a second entrance, but knew there always was. Got the hell out before anyone could start thinking about an ambush. Fuck, but I hate this job, White exclaimed, as their boots kicked up water pooling between rows of bolted down chairs alongside the abandoned track. Said he hated it, but looked a lot happier than at the station, even though part of his face was moving in a strange way. Here's the break with White.